My parents have a Chinese restaurant since they are Chinese immigrants, and I have worked in this restaurant since I was a baby. You know, the type of Chinese takeout restaurant where you would go in, spend nearly nothing, but then you'd get a fuck ton of food back, and the decoration and the upkeep of the building is like 15 years behind, and there's always some kind of Buddha or golden cat statue at least somewhere. Well, have you noticed that there's fewer of these restaurants since they are closing down? Well, here's why I think that Chinese restaurants are closing down and are disappearing. So when I was little, my parents first had a snack bar. So technically a kind of restaurant, but it wasn't. Here in the Netherlands, we have this kind of takeout place where you'd go and order fries, a couple of snacks, and then you'd be on your way. We call them snack bars. I don't know, it's a weird cultural thing here. But the thing is, my parents mixed it with what the Dutch people here think is Chinese food. So it's like this weird fusion. Anyways, I worked here, but not like work. Because I was so little, I was like 6 or 7 or 8. I did simple thing when I wasn't busy. And I thought at first that it was fun. I didn't think much of it because it was normal for me. I had to do simple things like grabbing a snack from the freezer, sometimes assembling the whole order, and sometimes I'd put everything in the deep fryer as well. Sometimes I'd have to take in an order and give people their change back because back in the day we didn't have payment by card. All we had was hard cash. It was fun. I really enjoyed these simple tasks. It didn't matter if I did something wrong, and it didn't matter if I didn't know something. No one had any expectations of me, my parents nor the customers. So I always thought, oh, look at this little kid, he's doing the thing. And they would wait longer, they would smile, they would be like, oh my god, look at this cute little boy. And as I grew older, by the time I was 13, I had to start waiting tables. At this time, my parents had a different kind of restaurant, actual restaurant. I had to start waiting tables. And this experience was fucking awful. It was horrible because I was 13 and I was about the size of my parents and my voice was already deeper. Customers had this weird sky-high expectation of me that I was a fucking professional or something. But little did I know that I barely knew how to speak. It's not like my parents took me to a restaurant regularly. I think at this time, the last time I did something with my parents was about a year ago. And if I asked them if I can go out to play or do whatever with my friends instead of working, they would be like, why are you asking for a day off? You already went 2 months ago. Like, holy fuck, their work ethic is insane. Am I only supposed to go out once a year or something? But anyways, what I had to do at the time was I had to bring them to the table. I had to ask them for their drinks. I just had to do simple waiting table thing. And I didn't get a tutorial for that. I didn't get a tutorial for anything for that matter. I didn't know what to say. Neither did I know what the drinks were. I didn't drink those things back at home. If anyone told me, can you get me a beer? I will be like, the fuck is a beer? Or if someone's like, I'd like a red wine. I'm like, what the fuck is a red wine? You know how embarrassing that shit is? And it's not like these customers would understand me and they would say, oh, it's okay here. Look at this menu. It's right here. No, they would stare at me. They would be like, what the fuck is wrong with this man? And then by the time I actually got their drink, I had to actually bring it to the table. And my parents didn't tell me how to hold a fucking tray. You know those circular waiter's trays? My parents just somehow expected me to know this skill out of nowhere. You know how many accidents I had with trays that could have easily been prevented if I just got a fucking tutorial? And yes, now I know how to do all these things. But is there any point in doing it by trial by fire? This is not a working environment. It was hell. It was fucking busy, have to run everywhere, don't get any explanation, and the people that come there are even worse somehow. So we were a cheaper eating place and the whole neighborhood around it is mostly just elderly people. And so customers that we got, oh, they're fucking awful. They make bad jokes, they're not sociable, and their way of socializing is going around being like, oh, look at that woman, look at that ass. I'm like, bro, the fuck? And then they just keep talking about their racing cars and their football. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't care about your footballs. So anyways, what's the point of me complaining about this? Well, the point is that the children of these restaurant owners, like me, had some kind of horrible experience with them. And for me, it was the shittiest working conditions ever. And thinking for the longest time that all workplaces are like that. And no, it's not. Hard, long hours without breaks, constant understaffing, customers complaining to me left and right for things I didn't do, and not even good pay. Couldn't even get days off, even if I planned it months beforehand. My parents would just be like, what? We need you. And you know the worst part? I'm not even one of the guys that have the worst. I've heard worse stories than mine. People who have to work every day, for example, or people who have to be on standby every day so you can't go out ever, or you don't don't even get paid in the first place because their parents would just say, yeah, but I pay for your roof and your food, so you don't get any money. What about these situations? What if your parents' Chinese restaurant is one of the local hangout places for the schools and clubs nearby? All of a sudden, you'd have to wait and serve all these people that are your own age, and that comes with a bunch of other issues. First of all, it's extremely awkward if you had a fight with someone and then all of a sudden they want food, or you get fucking name called because you work there. When I was younger, I remember walking on the streets and people in groups, by the way, because they wouldn't dare to do it solo. Oh hell no, they're too much of a fucking wuss to do that. They will be on their bike and then just scream random food names. Or they would say something fucking stupid like, give me number 3. Like, wow, dude, I'm laughing my fucking ass off. Worst thing is they probably keep doing it to the older people, the older generation that are here, like my parents or my grandparents or uncles, whatever, but they don't know what the fuck that means. It's actually fucking disgusting. And remember the deep fried place what I was talking about earlier? If you're a Chinese person working there, I think the worst insult you can get is Chinese, which translates to Chinese guy French fries or something. I don't know. I don't think there's a translation for that, but I think it's the biggest fucking insult here. And somehow the people here just throw it around casually. And the image of these Chinese restaurants, it's fucking awful. A bunch of people associate these Chinese restaurants with horrible hygienic standards, extremely oily foods that's for the poor people, very, very cheap stuff. And all of these things together, they combine and it creates this kind of disdain for Chinese restaurants, at least for me. And I personally hate it. And I wouldn't ever want to own one of these places. Not like my parents would want from me. And what I'm guessing that a bunch of other parents would want for their children. And there's this new modern version of these Chinese restaurants. They're not even Chinese anymore. They're sushi. A bunch of the Chinese restaurants transformed themselves from Chinese to Japanese. And now you have a bunch of all-you-can-eat sushi places popping up left and right. And sometimes they're run by a younger person and sometimes they're not. But either way, Japanese food has a better profit margin and it's generally seen as fancy and clean food. But nothing, almost nothing in this restaurant is authentic Japanese, and everyone just copies other places. And there you have it. A couple of reasons why I think Chinese restaurants are disappearing, along with my long ass rant about why I hate. So do you agree or do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below.
Take your beat.